What is going on, you guys? Welcome to Call on Tyrone. I got a couple of special guests here. We play the AFC this year as Falcons fans, so don't anybody come in here talking about why are these guys here. We got Jamil from Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Everything's good over here. I'm excited to talk some AFC East football with some other guys. I know I don't want to hear anything from you about the Hawks and the Knicks.
I'm
But
not
other than
gonna.
that, we'll be
You
all
might get
right.
in the comments. You gonna get in the comments more than anything. We have Mike here from Dolphins Talk. How you doing? DolphinsTalk.com. Let me get it right. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. And we have Yeston. Y'all don't be surprised. Yeston has a British accent, so don't be all shocked when you hear him talk. Yeston from Buffalo Fanatic website. How you doing tonight, Yeston?
I'm doing spectacular. Happy to be here. I was looking for an opportunity this weekend to be talking some good quality Bills football. So here I am.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna go by our schedule. So I'm gonna go with the Jets first. So training camp has started for all you guys, of course, but I want to talk about the Jets. Zach Wilson was the number 3. Was it number 3? Yeah, number 3 pick in the draft. Number 2, actually, yes, number 2 pick in the draft. We had you here. If you're here and you watched our draft show, he was here with us through that. So Zach Wilson, I saw you post you guys as O-line guys, the two big guys you guys drafted. What are y'all expectations? Like, have you been to camp? Have you seen anything in camp? Have you heard anything? And what are your expectations on, going through preseason, getting into the season?
Yeah, man. So I was fortunate enough to be able to stop by camp. But also the green and white practice coming up around the corner. So we have some exciting fan experiences going on, with the Jets. And for the first time, like you said, we're excited, dude, because we have Zach Wilson. It was hard to get on board with him personally to begin with. I was a little skittish about it, especially like with Sam Darnold, right? We're like, what's going to change from now to Sam Darnold? We might as well just keep him and just, try to develop a quarterback. But, dude, the energy around the front office, the energy around the head coach, Coach Salah and Mike LaFleur, the new guys, Jeff Ulbridge, our defensive coordinator, the energy around, like you said, Elijah Vera-Tucker, our brand new left guard, Mekhi Becton from last year, our left tackle, and honestly, Elijah Moore, dude. Like the Zach Wilson-Elijah Moore tandem is – I've never seen our Jets beat reporters – optimistic about the Jets in training camp in my entire existence. Like, this is the first time in my whole life they've been telling me we have a weapon and his name is Elijah Moore, and this guy Zach Wilson can sling it. So for the offense, I'm really excited. And then on the defense, we had that D-line. Carl Lawson's absolutely ripping up Mekhi Becton every single practice. So you want to tell me how great Mekhi Becton is? Looks like our D-line's giving him some work. So overall, man, I'm cautiously optimistic about making the playoffs here. I with the 17-game season, I think it's forgiving for us. But just as we sit right now, before our first preseason game, before even our green and white Jets practice, I am cautiously optimistic that we can make the playoffs.
Okay. I want to throw it. So, of course, I know you said it was hard to get on Zach Wilson. I mean, for us to be at 4, when we were looking at quarterbacks as a whole, we had Justin Fields sitting there, when this is before Zach Wilson was projected to go number 2. Because remember, he wasn't at number 2.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're so skeptical.
Like he dropped down to us. Yeah. And I was like, and in a lot of drafts, it was like, yeah, you guys should go get Zach. And then it was just, I think Mel Kiper started putting him at 2. And everybody was like, oh, so he might be that good. And, watching this film, he's not a bad guy. He's good. So what are your real expectations from him in his rookie year? Is he a rookie of the year type guy, or do you think he's going to come in and have to learn the offense a little bit more?
Well, I mean, it's kind of two-folded, right? If you just want to talk about rookie of the year, I mean, for the most part, if you just want to talk betting, the rookie of the year for the most part goes to the quarterback, and the quarterback who's going to play the most games. And that really only leaves you 2 choices with Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson. So if you're talking me rookie of the year, honestly, I would put my money on Zach Wilson over the guy throwing to Tim Tebow. That's just how I'm gonna give you that advice. But for Zach Wilson and how he's doing, and his expectations personally. So the number one reason that Alex and I were skeptical about Zach Wilson going into the season was because of how good his BYU offensive line was.
Mm-hmm.
And especially watching the Jets last year and our guard play, I mean, it was absolutely atrocious. So we had that, big worry about how is he going to transition. Already in camp, everybody knows he was a couple days late, but he didn't miss a padded practice. But you can tell, especially from what the coaches have been telling us, for the first couple days, it took him some time to get adjusted. So just keeping that in mind, I'm expecting definitely some rookie mistakes throughout the season. We also have a kicker problem. I know that sounds, silly, but that's also going to cost us, with rookie quarterback development, in my opinion. So we're going to have terrible losses on this record. I'll say expectations is like 7 to 9 wins in a 17-game season. If he can hit that 10 mark, he's going to get the playoffs. So, I think if he gets 7 games, nobody can be upset with Zach Wilson, number 2 pick, a whole new squad. But to be honest with you, man, it's just going to depend on how the team actually looks and how the culture is emanating. It's been a really tough couple of years with Adam Gase, dude. I'm sure we could ask the resident Miami fan.
He sucks.
It's tough. It's tough out here, man. It's not for the faint of heart. So now that we finally have, a competent front office, a competent head coach, it looks like a competent offensive line and defensive line, and now we have a quarterback and some playmakers to go with it. I'm cautiously optimistic. Give me 7 wins. But I'm gonna ceiling us at 10. But we better not hit the floor. We better not get less than 5 wins.
I have a question.
Better not get less than 5
I have a
wins.
question for the Jets.
Here's
my question. First off, rookie of the year. I think you're right, probably with those 2 guys. But I'd also throw in Najee Harris because I do think he's had a chance for a big year. Is there a fear amongst fans of the Jets, because we've seen it all offseason, that Zach Wilson's mom might blow up and be an off the field thing that just causes chaos?
I was going to get to that too.
Because the Jets are known for having chaos all the time around the organization, and his mom is crazy with a capital C.
Yeah, I mean, we done went through Sam Darnold last year with Mono, and
it's a fair question, because Zach Wilson offered to pay his mom just to turn off her social media. That would raise a red flag with me, because she said no.
Yeah, he's probably protecting his mom a little bit out there due to the New York media and probably his exposure. But it's so interesting, man. On the Nick Jets Etc. podcast, we had Jacob Hatch, who works for Utah, ESPN, and BYU Locked On, covers every single BYU game. And he was telling us, we were talking to him in season, and he was telling us about Zach Wilson's mom. He was like, Zach Wilson's mom is ... the greatest part about, BYU and Zach Wilson. He was going off about how she's so charming, how everyone loves her, how she's like the team favorite, and that type of deal. And how literally, if you go back, he was telling me how excited we're going to be about our social media. The problem is how wholesome they probably are in Utah and what's going on in the New York, New Jersey media, because
a little bit of a conflict.
She couldn't even get through draft day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she couldn't.
So I don't think it's, to be honest with you, I don't think it's her that's the problem. I think it's us. And when you have somebody in the building like Rob Salah, I feel like he could control that, right? Like if you come up to the press conference, ask like, we have a bad loss. Zach Wilson's mom posts on Instagram saying like, oh my goodness, it's the coach's fault, or alludes to that, right? And now it's a big media scrum. They go to Adam Gase. Our whole team is falling apart. It's about to crumble. Like, just sell the whole team. If it goes to Coach Salah, I feel like he could take that in and sort of, in that team that is not attending with us today, so will not be mentioned. Like that head coach, he'd be able to sort of navigate that and kind of dispel it. So,
because we had this down in Miami. We had this a few years back in Miami with Miko Grimes, who was the wife of Brent Grimes, who was all over social media, calling out the quarterback, causing chaos. She got arrested outside the stadium once. She's flipping the middle fingers to other fans in the game. And the organization tried talking to her, and you can't handle crazy. You can't control it. You can't try to put it in a box, push it off to the side. Crazy's crazy. And that can cause a rift in the locker room. And with social media these days, it's everyone's on it. All the players are on it. The organization monitors it. It's like that to me would be a red flag because that you would think as a mom, let me make my son's life easier and just not do this. She said no. I mean,
yeah, that whole the whole Disneyland thing, and that whole mask thing and all of that was so wild.
New York, they're not going to probably see her values when it comes to certain hot button issues, and you're right. That's more on the people in New York who got to be more open minded and more okay. She doesn't think like us, whatever. But he pretty much told her, "I need you to be quiet." And as a mom, you would think, okay, this is my son asking me. No, she doesn't care. It's like that's scary to me because I've seen it in Miami with a mom spouse, same type of deal.
Yeah.
And it's like that is a ticking time bomb because if they start off like, let's say they start off bad, 1-5 or something, and she goes on social media, start ranting about some other guy in the team, it's like that's rough.
That's the issue. And I think that's pretty popular among. It's just prevalent around the Jets, but I would say all of New York sports, if it's bad, it's gonna compile all that negative news is gonna compile before you could even blink.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Like ask Mark Sanchez how it's like to lose a couple games. Like it doesn't matter what your mom says, it doesn't matter what your cousin says. Like if you lose a couple games, it's over. But if you win a couple games, ask the Knicks. If you win a couple games, nobody cares about your uncle. Nobody cares what anyone's doing. You know what I'm saying? We're just getting wins. So
you're the toast of the town. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm hoping, man. That's what is so different, quote unquote, different so far, because we have not played a game, right? Not even a preseason game. That's what's so quote unquote different about this Jets culture. It does not feel like same old Jets. Like literally the press conference for Adam Gase was a same old Jets press conference. Like his intro. You know what I mean? Like it started from the day he walked in. So that's just not the vibe. Coach Law has it down, and obviously we are good at drafting.
Yes.
Something else that's
had a great draft. We had a conversation about that while you were on the show. Like Zach Wilson then getting AVT was like, oh, y'all really are going to try to solidify for him. And I'm gonna transition into Miami here. So last year, you guys take Tua. Wait, was Tua still hurt? I think he was still hurt when you guys.
He was
recovering. He was still in
rehab. Yeah.
And before, like we said before the show, like I'm gonna ask you again. You had Fitzmagic play, and he played. I mean, he had spectacular games. Then Tua had some. You were like,
well, we can talk about that because Ryan Fitzpatrick is a total mirage. Now he's played for every team in this chat, so I know. Talking to fans of the Jets and Bills, they're probably going to have the same thing. You always think about the great moments, but there are a lot of bad moments out there. Week 1 last year against the Patriots, Miami's in that game, has a chance to win. He throws 3 interceptions. He's the reason they lost. Week 2 against the Bills, he was not very good at all. That game, I think, was like an 8-point game at the end. He was bad. He was the main reason they lost. He played a game against the Jets last year. No offense to our Jets fans. The Jets were terrible last year. He didn't have a first down the entire game. He didn't lead. They won that game in spite of him, not because of him. They had a game last year against Seattle. They're in the red zone 5 times, 0 touchdowns. So everyone remembers the great moments. The game against Jacksonville, which I guess is a great moment. It's against Jacksonville. We'll count it. And the crazy pass at the end of the year against the Raiders, which was a lot of luck involved. But when you look at the whole picture, he really wasn't that good. Now, is he better than Tua? Well, I hope so. He's been in the league for freaking 20-something years. He better be better than a rookie. But at the end of the day, it wasn't like he was playing lights out and they put him on the bench. He was mediocre. And it's like, well, we took this kid number 5, and let's see what we got. And, he went 6-3 as a starter, Tua. He had his moments where he was good, and he had his moments where he was bad, like any rookie does. And he wasn't 100%. Everyone knows that. Yeah. And, it wasn't an awful rookie year. I think people think it was bad when you compare it to Herbert, since they could have taken Herbert. But if you put that to the side, it was a good rookie year.
So going into your expectations though of the year, like you get a full healthy Tua, You got a healthy team basically. You lost a couple guys in free agency. You cut a couple. Who did you? I forgot who you.
Nobody
guys
of
cut.
importance. They didn't lose anybody of importance. They got rid of Shaq Lawson in trade, and they cut Kyle Vanoy.
Yeah,
but they added other guys, especially on offense, like Will Fuller. They drafted Waddle, and they also drafted Jalen Phillips in round 1 because they have so many draft picks they've had over recent years.
With some good trades.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nice.
That Texan trade was really good.
Yeah,
Laremy Tunsil trade is a gift that keeps on giving. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
So for your expectations, I mean, I have Choo Choo here. He's always on our show. He's a big Miami fan, and of course, he's been talking to us about you guys beating us in October. But for your expectations overall for the season, because I think Miami and for me, I've watched. Guys, I was telling you, I've watched some Miami games, and I have Miami, my god brother's Miami fan. You guys aren't that bad. The AFC East.
They won 10 games last year. They won 10 games.
Yeah.
Any other year, 10 wins, you'll make the playoffs. Last year was tough in the AFC. AFC was deep. It's good. It's still good this year. It's very deep. Clearly, inside the AFC East, we're not the best team. That would still be the Bills. Understandable. Expectations this year, make the playoffs as a wild card. That's realistic. There's 3 wild card spots. It's not crazy. They won 10 games last year. They won 10 or 11 this year. Get a wild card spot. Expectations are met as we continue our march in the rebuild. But that's sort of what the expectations are. Just get a wild card spot, get in the playoffs, because that's realistic. Because they honestly were so close to making the playoffs last year. The only reason they weren't in, everyone says it's the final game against the Bills. Yeah, obviously that mattered. But it came down to tiebreak and stuff because there were other teams that had they were right there. So, just getting in the playoffs as a wild card this year is, realistic expectations. I think the Bills are clearly still the class of the AFC East. If they had a bunch of injuries, who knows? But once again, I still think just a wild card, make the playoffs, and we'll be fine.
I think that's for me, the whole AFC. I feel like the AFC is open a lot this year because
there's no Tom Brady anymore.
Dominant teams.
I mean, once Tom Brady left, it just became wide open.
Well, there's
even
Patrick
the East,
Mahomes.
The East is wide open. I mean, Mahomes is going to be Mahomes, so that we know probably the number one. But I don't think Pittsburgh goes out and does the whole 11-0 thing again.
Of course not.
I think that was more of a luck thing for them, especially last year. I mean, look at their schedule in the beginning. It wasn't hard. It wasn't a hard 11-0 schedule to have. And we saw when they played real teams, they lost. And then they didn't win in the playoffs. They got beat by Baker Mayfield, destroyed by Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw them play real teams, and they kind of sort of didn't, function. They didn't play as well as you thought they were. So I mean, the AFC is open. I don't think the North is still open because I don't trust Pittsburgh, and I don't trust them being the same team. I think Lamar has a year trying to get it this year, or Baker. I don't think Joe Burrow has still enough weapons around him when they could have got Sewell and had him protected. But
he's been awful so far in camp too. He's been awful from all the reports. I know it's just a week, but he's been bad that first week.
Yeah, I just want I think the whole, and then I think because if we say AFC in the West, we know that the West is the West, so they have a kind of sort of. They're going to have the battle. I think that'll be one of the bigger battles. Of course, the East will be a big battle, but I really think the West will be a really big battle because of Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City. And then you got Herbert, who's supposedly the next savior of the Chargers. And you still got Oakland, who I don't know if I trust Gruden there still, but Gruden might decide. I think they got to get another quarterback. I think Derek Carr has ran his line. And I said
the
Oakland,
one
Vegas.
thing about
I
the
think
Chargers.
he's run his time.
I'll say one thing about the Chargers. Herbert, for how great he was last year, his head coach got fired. So now he's under a whole new staff, whole new offense. For any type of rookie to come out and have a year like he did, usually the head coach doesn't get fired off a year like that. His head coach got fired off a year like that, which I don't know what that says or means, but that's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same. Let's say look at Tampa's whole coaching staff. Literally, most of their coaches are head coaches. Like Todd Bowles is a head coach. Who's their I can't think of who their OC is, but he's a head coach. And of course, right? And then Bruce Arians is a head coach. He's been around the league out for a year. So so is Tom Brady. He's a head coach too. Yeah, and Tom Brady. He has the ultimate like field general badge to me. Like if he was like on Madden, like he just gets field general automatically because he tells everybody what to do. Like he knows where he's gonna put the ball and how he how he sees the field. Sad we didn't get a Patriots guy because I really want to talk about them how they lost Tom Brady after all these years and I think it was more and I'm not gonna speak. I feel like it was something with Bill that made them lose Tom. I think something happened with him and Bill over the years. I think it was just a rift, and it's because you got to think like it's like a can you do this without me type thing. And I think Brady proved that last year. Like I'm still won a Super Bowl, and I think that's why the Patriots. And they got. I don't trust Mac Jones. I'll give a little bit spill on Pay. I don't trust Mac Jones.
I don't know how he got picked around 1 is a total mystery to me. He's not a round 1 quarterback
because he won the national championship.
Yeah, that's fine, but he's not a round 1 quarterback.
He's not. He should have been a second round quarterback, and I really thought Kellen Mond could have went first round before him, but that didn't happen. It's weird. We saw the guy, the dude from Stanford get drafted, which he was supposed to be. His coach called him the next Andrew Luck. It's a lot of stuff where like you want to see. I just want to see what's gonna happen quarterback wise. That's why I said like, the AFC is so open. The AFC South is really open because Trevor Lawrence is going to be in his first year with Urban Meyer, which is going to be so weird.
Terrible.
To see Urban Meyer in the NFL outfit.
That won't end well either.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I don't.
I think the Titans. I think in the AFC, if there's a couple teams to watch outside the Chiefs and the Bills, one is the Browns. I just think they're built to win games late in the year, cold, snow. They got a lot of running backs who can run the ball. They got power running game. They can pass it. Quality wide receivers, and they improved the other side of the ball a lot this offseason. I think the Browns are a team to watch. I also think the Titans as well. They're built late in the year, cold weather, turn and hand off and just beat you in the ground with strength. Those are the teams I think could be sneaky. I mean, I do think it's the Chiefs and the Bills above everybody else, but that next tier, I do think it's just the Browns and the Titans, and I think after that there's a gap. When you get your Ravens or your Miamis, your Pittsburghs, then there's that third tier.
I think the Ravens have a chance of
He can't throw the ball, Jackson.
Lamar doesn't have receivers. You
give all the wide receivers in the world. You can't throw the ball.
Yeah.
If you get
Hollywood is cool and all, but
if
you can't give Hollywood the ball the way he needs it, then what are you doing?
Well, now they got Bateman, but I know our Bills fan has something to say about Lamar Jackson.
I know. We have to get you there.
I've got a lot of thoughts on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but primarily it's that it doesn't matter how many wide receivers you give a quarterback whose entire play style is about escaping the pocket and running. I mean, they've got a great run game even outside of Lamar. They're still a pretty consistent run offense, and his athleticism makes their offense work, but if he's hobbled even for a moment, they're dead in the water. Their defense is great, but it's not enough to lift them to the championship ever. And they need a significant offensive output to match what those guys put up. And it doesn't matter if you give him Sammy Watkins as his number 1 wide receiver, if you draft a guy, if you give him a couple mixed vets, if you add depth, because he excelled when passing to his tight ends and when working in play action, by committee with his running backs. He's never been a great guy at targeting wide receivers outside of those first few games with Hollywood during that rookie season. He was barely able to hit his mark. Every highlight you saw wasn't an amazing throw downfield. It was a little, juke a man out of his shoes. Maybe a little baby stiff arm when you're on the run. It's his entire offense is built around him being an athletic playmaker, but not necessarily a pure passer, and it's not sustainable. It's why he won the MVP one year and didn't get a vote the next. It's not like he was missing time. It's not like something went horribly wrong. He wasn't surrounded by injuries. He didn't lose a significant amount of talent. He just got figured out, and what great quarterbacks do is once you figure them out and you figure out how to defend them, they adjust their game, and you got to figure out how to beat them again, and you got to figure out how to beat them again because they keep on changing and adapting. It's why Tom Brady's been so hard to beat for his entire career. Once you figure out how to get pressure on him in the pocket, he'll figure out how to get the ball out faster, and he'll burn you in the secondary. it's consistent. You need adaptability to succeed as a quarterback in the NFL long term, and Lamar Jackson doesn't have that adaptability. He can improvise a play in the backfield, but once you figure out their style of offense, they need to change it, and they haven't done so yet.
I have an example for all of you guys. So in 2001, the first overall pick in the NFL draft was Michael Vick. He came to Atlanta in a time where Atlanta needed a quarterback and, to have some hype around somebody. He came in, he gave us three before he, went to jail. I think he gave us 3 or 4 good seasons. And people are still stuck on Michael Vick in Atlanta. And so my thing is for him is that, and we know why they don't like Matt Ryan. And, we had those discussions. But there's still people in Atlanta that are still stuck on Michael Vick. And I say, for me, I was born in 2001, literally. Michael Vick was here since I was born. He was here when I was born. I remember when I was finally able to remember stuff, like him still playing and, seeing him running around and throwing the ball and all of that. Like, it's cool to have a quarterback like that. It's always going to be cool to have a quarterback like that. Oh, yeah, look at him like Tua. Tua could be something like that, but Tua is a better pocket passer because Tua can sling the ball. So, but if Tua needs to get out, Zach Wilson can run a little bit. Why? Because I've watched all you guys' quarterback highlights. I watched Tua beat me in the national championship.
It's a different Tua, man. He's different. He's different without that O-line and Saban. I'm just throwing that out there.
He's different without having that OC. Really.
So one thing about Tua is he's got pinpoint accuracy. And he can throw it when he needs to if you give him the time and all that stuff. He's got pinpoint accuracy. He'll hit guys on a dime. Lamar Jackson, if you get a 10-point lead on him, it's over. I mean, he can't come back. He cannot win a game with his arm. If he has to throw the ball, because it was not last year but the year before, I think it was the Titans in the playoffs. They got up like 21 zip. Game was over. He cannot, because when you force him to throw you back into a game, he just can't, because you just don't blitz. You play zone. He can't find anybody. And when he does, he throws it high, he throws it low, left, right. He's throwing it out of bounds. He's not that guy. And this is a league. It'll always be a league. There's going to be guys who can run. Vic could throw. Vic had a big time arm. He could throw.
Vic had an arm though.
No accuracy though. No
accuracy. But at least he can throw it more consistently than Lamar can dream of. Honestly, he had something. And it's a league where it's always going to be, you got to win games from the pocket. It'll always be a league where you got to win games from the pocket. Yes, you got to have guys who can move around a little bit now, where in the past you could have a Phil Simms, Marino, who couldn't move a lick, but it's changed. You got to move a little, but it's still a league where you got to win the games with your arm in the pocket, because you're going to be down in games and you got to be able to throw your way back in. You can't run your way back in because it just won't work.
Yeah, I mean, Vic was a new age talent, and we're now seeing the rest of that new age now. I mean, as purely as a football player, he was ahead of his time. Now we're seeing this move towards mobile quarterbacks. You're expected to have some mobility, even as you get down there in your career. Veterans are expected to be able to move outside of the pocket now. It's not being mobile isn't pocket manipulation, a little sidestep to avoid pressure. It's getting out, it's throwing, across your body on the run 30 yards downfield. And if you don't have that, then you can't make a comeback in today's NFL. Unless, you're maybe if you're the Browns, because that run game is lethal. But it's hard to win games on the run if you can't make those big time throws downfield. And there's sort of a vacuum for players like that, and the reason people attach to Lamar so much is because he filled that vacuum. But he filled that vacuum for 1 year only, and he was still a good quarterback last year. I'm not the nicest person when it comes to Lamar, but I respect him. He's a phenomenal athlete and a good quality quarterback. I just don't think he's in that top tier anymore.
I think he dropped like you can run. Everybody can run. Everybody can get the ball and run. You can be a running back, right? I need you to be a quarterback. Mm-hmm. If I'm hardball, I'm going to Lamar every offseason and say, please work on your accuracy, because you need to throw. I can't have you out here trying to run the ball 20 times. You get hit one good time. Let's say what is his name for Buffalo? What's your cornerback's name? Oh,
Josh
my
Allen?
God. Who? No,
Wait,
cornerback. Your
The cornerback.
Yeah.
Trey White.
Yeah. Let's say Trey Wayne comes
corner,
up cracks in one good time,
Mm.
and then Lamar's hurt. Then what you gonna play Trace McSorley? Like I need you to play in the pocket and be able to throw. Like and for him, he felt he gave you that gap of time that we didn't have without having Vic. Like we went years because even when Vic came back, Vic wasn't the same Vic. Vic wasn't trying to run around and do all those things. He was trying to be a pocket passer. He turned into because he knew he couldn't run as fast. So he's going to have to take at least these next 2 off seasons for me, at least, to prove. And this season's a year for him too. Show me that you can throw. If you can't show me you can throw accurate downfield, I gave you Sammy Watkins. I gave you Hollywood. What you said, was it Bateman?
Bateman, from Minnesota. He's going to be really good, man. I'm
giving you these guys, and you're not giving me everybody's like, he needs a big receiver. He needs a big, he like you said, he thrives with tight ends. And thank God we got Hayden Hurst before we found out what Hayden Hurst was in Baltimore, because he would have been dominant in Baltimore with Lamar. And thank God he got to Matt. And it's so, and like you were saying about the mobility, we have Matt Ryan doing speed training now. We have him working out with speed trainers, trying to get him to move faster. So it's a league where you have to be mobile, but you have to throw. And Matt Ryan has perfected that bootleg. And you watch him bootleg a lot. That bootleg for Matt Ryan is dangerous. And it's like it got better. I think 2016 when he won that MVP award is when that bootleg became perfect for him. Like that was like his first year. You were just like, yeah, that's Matt Ryan's what he needed to do. Even when he was in college, he was still running. He was still able to run around. He shows you mobility. I mean, he still was hitting 20 miles per hour last year at full speed. So I mean, he's giving you what you want to see from him. And I hate that Falcons fans don't appreciate our quarterback. But for you, Yeston, we're going to get into this Buffalo team. All right, man. Like I said, Josh Allen is my second favorite quarterback in the NFL behind Matt Ryan. He's my young favorite. I guess I say he's my young quarterback favorite. Since he's came in the league, I don't know, it's been something about him. I'm so always look that game that you played Houston, you ended up losing. That was still one of the best playoff games I think I've watched. Was it last year before last?
That was last year.
Yeah, that game versus Houston was probably the best playoff game I've ever watched. Like that was one of the best all around. And Josh Allen he's shown you flashes of greatness. And so Buffalo, you had your last good quarterback, and I know I guess you can say Kelly was probably your last good quarterback. I mean,
yeah, he was the last. The Bills haven't given a major contract extension to a quarterback since Kelly's, I think, 1993 extension. Wow. That was the last time we handed out a hey, we think you're the franchise guy, let's give you a big extension. It's been a long time, and we've had a million quarterbacks in between now and then. I mean, everyone's seen that list of Browns starting quarterbacks for 20 years. The Bills one is only a couple names shorter. We have
every person on this screen can say the same thing.
I mean, we had legends like Kyle Orton,
the only one, and thank God we got Matt Ryan in 08. I think, but
the Bills, Jets, Dolphins, it's been a horror story.
That East. And it's so weird because we rotate, and every time we used to rotate, it'd be a different quarterback. Mind you, I thought and it's so funny, Buffalo. I thought who'd y'all have? Was it Tyrone? I thought Tyrod was y'all guy. I don't know why, but for years I was like, Tyrod's gonna show it. And then,
I had a lot of faith in Tyrod Taylor. I thought that he could be our guy because he was the best I'd seen in my lifetime. I saw him play and I was like, hey man, this guy can do things that I've never seen any other Bills quarterback do. Does that equate to him being great? Maybe. Let's give him a chance. When we got rid of him before we drafted anybody, we got rid of him pre-draft in 2018. So we had only one quarterback left on the roster, Nathan Peterman. I'm sure you all remember fondly.
5 interceptions against the first half.
The legend, right? He was all we had on the roster. Then we picked up AJ McCarron as a free agent, drafted Josh Allen, and AJ McCarron was going to be the starter, and then we traded him. And I thought that was so unbelievably stupid because if we have a guy who's the best, surely we should try and win games. And I was wrong. I'm happy to admit that. I'm glad I was wrong. But I think something that quarterbacks need their teams to do sometimes when they're new is because, if you're drafting a quarterback high, you're probably not a great team that year. Very, very rarely taking a high draft pick and picking a quarterback and you're not, leading an overall garbage roster. And when we picked Josh Allen, we had one of the worst rosters in the NFL, arguably the worst in the league at the time, just for overall overall talent. I mean, Sean McDermott's defensive scheme made us into a better team than we really should have been year over year.
And the running game.
And the running game, led by LaShawn McCoy in his twilight years. But it was generally not a great roster. We turned things around quite quickly. By over the course of 1 year, we went from having 53 men to having 8 men returning on the roster. We had almost 100 million in dead cap 1 year, just clearing this mess and digging ourselves out. And I think that by being terrible, by being a generally awful team, Josh Allen learned to take his lumps early, and he learned what mistakes not to make the hard way. But he was also done a favor, because by losing and by consistently shedding all the talent, all the limited talent we had around us, and making room for this new team, we created a perfect situation where we had all of the tools at our disposal. We had plenty of cap space. We had good draft picks. We had everything we needed to build a successful team. And I think that that's where the Dolphins might have failed Tua a little bit, was with constantly, I say constantly, they only happened a couple times, but pulling him late in games because they thought they had a chance to win, and they thought Ryan Fitzpatrick, thank you. Fitzpatrick was going to give him a better chance to win. They thought, they thought winning now might have been more important. I think that they should have conceded a little bit and said, you know what, developing our young guy is more important than winning games right now. And hell, if we lose some more games, we get a better draft pick and we can surround him with more talent that works better for him, then that's a win too. I thought that, much like that Week 17 Bills game that everybody probably didn't watch, where we rested our starters in the second half. Josh Allen played a little over a quarter of a game, but we were firing on all cylinders. We had Miami's defense figured out, and that is a great defense. I don't know what happened that day, but they something was up, because I fully expected a more significant challenge than that, and we just rested our guys in the end because we needed to do so. But putting Tua to the wolves like that, I mean, Fitzpatrick was unavailable that day. I think it was a COVID thing.
It was a COVID, and
it was COVID. Yeah,
the end of last year, they had no wide receivers like the final 6 or 7 games, because you have to remember last year, Preston Williams played 8 games. He gets hurt, out for the year. Albert Wilson, he didn't play all last year. He opts out. Alan Hearns, he didn't play last year. He opts out. Parker, like week 10 or 11, gets hurt. Since they literally have nobody else, he is out there for like half a games, limping around, trying his best. And then they had 2 guys in Malcolm Perry and Lynn Bowden, rookies who were quarterbacks in college, trying to learn wide receiver. They legitimately had nobody to play wide receiver the final 4 or 5 games. The fact they won 10 with that group of wide receiver really is like a minor miracle towards sainthood almost, because he was throwing to nobody. And they actually traded Isaiah Ford to the Patriots like the last week of October. He's with the Patriots for a week. He gets cut. They had to resign him. They traded the guy because they didn't want him. They had to resign him because they had nobody to throw the ball to. Everyone was hurt. Even the tight end gets hurt. Mike, he gets hurt against the Chiefs. Yeah.
The thing is that
nobody to throw to.
The Bills had a similar situation with Josh Allen as a rookie, right? Like he was throwing to Kelvin Benjamin, who refused to run routes in practice, and Zay Jones, who was having a very hard time. I mean, his offensive line was Swiss cheese. LaShawn McCoy was hurt every game. It was the last year he really saw any actual playing time, and it wasn't every week by a long way. All we had was a good defense and absolutely nothing on offense, but a raw young quarterback who had like half the college snaps of the rest of his draft class, and he had nothing. And that's why I was saying the Dolphins probably didn't do Tua any favors and didn't do themselves any favors by trying to win games with that roster. They should have, especially late in the season when they realized, they had a shot to make the playoffs. But and I understand, if you can win, you should win.
It only happened twice though, and once it worked and once it didn't. So it's
I
not
know,
like
but
he was benched every week. It's just twice.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It sets a bad precedent, and they should have realized that every snap is valuable, especially in a season where you know you're not realistically making a championship run. You don't actually stand a chance of getting past juggernauts in your division, and in your conference rather. So what do you do? You let Ryan Fitzpatrick sit on the bench for a while. You use him if Tua gets hurt. You keep him there as a mentor because he has more experience than just about any other quarterback in this league almost. And you let Tua learn. Throw him to the wolves and see if he makes it. That's why I was against that strategy when we did it to Josh Allen, and I've since turned and changed my mind about it because his growth year over year, hell, every half season he makes another jump. Ever since the beginning of his rookie year, about every 8 games or so, he makes another jump. He corrects the issues that he saw previously. People say that third year jump by Josh Allen was unprecedented. There's no way they could have known. It wasn't possible. Oh, it was all Stephon Diggs. No, Josh Allen has consistently worked on his issues constantly all year, every year since before he was drafted to become a better player. And finally he had an offensive line that worked. Finally, we gave him that talent around him to let him succeed in a real and championship contending sense. But the massive amount of growth we saw from him is partially due to incredible roster building and partially due to solid offensive play calling and scheme design. But his consistent willingness to adapt and grow over time has been his greatest strength as a quarterback. And that's why I've been absolutely thrilled to watch him grow all these years. But I think that he got to succeed where guys like Sam Darnold didn't, because Darnold had a lot more experience and was a lot more NFL ready coming out of college and was thrown to the wolves, but without the same room to grow. He didn't get the opportunity to succeed in the same way, and I've seen him training. He's got a great work ethic, and I think he could really succeed in Carolina, given the opportunity. They got a little bit more of a better offense for his play style, but. I'm excited to see what the rest of this division looks like after this time next year. I mean, you got great young quarterbacks. I say great, guys with the potential to be great on all 4 teams in this division. The Bills are inarguably the best team out there right now, and it's very uncomfortable for me to say. I mean, it's still. I've seen us we've made the playoffs 3 times in my life, and only one of those times I've had any real expectations. But this division is going to be tight in years to come if our competitors play it right. The Patriots can return to glory, but you said you were upset that there was no Patriots person in this chat. I can jam all over them for a bit, because all they did was something that all they did this offseason. Everyone talked about all the great moves they made. All they did this offseason was something that I've seen bad teams and crappy rosters in the NFL do every single year forever, which is overpay for veterans who aren't the best at their position and hope that it works out. And it's not going to be enough. You haven't created a successful team. You've created an expensive roster.
Either. So
exactly.
All the roster around us would be great.
Have a quarterback.
Yeah, you bring it. You're like, let's bring in all these weapons. Let's revamp our offensive line. Let's re-sign a bunch of aging guys. But who's going to throw to them? What's really going to happen? You've rebuilt a roster at a time when roster rebuilding isn't gonna. A team that's rebuilding like that isn't gonna win a division. This is a tough division, and it will be a tough division in years to come. It's been the laughingstock of the NFL for the best part of 20 years outside of the Patriots, but now we're here, we're contenders, and every one of these teams coming up has the talent to make it work. The Patriots, the only ones who took a step, who I think might have taken a step back in terms of long-term growth this season. Go on.
No, I was say for me, and so we were talking about the Patriots not having a quarterback. So for the last how many years has Cam been in the league? Oh my God,
9 or 10. 8, 9 or 10.
I think it was 2011, right? He got drafted.
Yeah,
I think 10 years.
So for me, I've watched Cam. We played Cam for 9 years, right? Now we've missed some Cams because he's been hurt, but most of the time he wants to play Atlanta. Cam beat us one time in 2015, I think. And from 2015, that's when everybody was dabbing and all of that dancing.
That was the MVP season, right?
Yeah. So they did the big dab as the whole team. They didn't beat us from that point. They didn't beat us from 2015 up to when he left Carolina. They just beat us this year for the first time because we were so bad on defense and on offense with Teddy Bridgewater. And mind you, we lost. We were ahead most of that game, and then we lost. Then, like we did all last year. If you were following the Falcons all last year, had big leads or have a lead, like we did with Chicago, had to lead the whole time with Chicago, and lose. Like we had to lead in Dallas. The Dallas game was the most disappointing game. You up 20-some points, and they let them come back in the fourth quarter. So, and it's so weird. I wish I could show you guys the chart. We had the win percentage chart. It was like 99%, and then every time it would just drop. Like it was such a point where it's like that year was just so bad. But I'm saying, like, for Cam has not shown you really a lot. I mean, he's gotten hurt. He's hurt his foot.
Over. It's over for him. It's over.
I watched his interview this year. He did one with Ocho Cinco. I forgot what the game. It was like Ocho Cinco and Brandon Marshall. Watch his interview. I don't know if you guys watched it, but he was like, I can't go out like I did last year. Like I got COVID last year, and they kept moving. And the Patriots always move on. The Patriots' way is they're going to keep going up and higher in the season, and they don't care if you get hurt or you get injured. And I didn't know he's like, I didn't know the playbook when I got back. So when I got back, I didn't know half the stuff. I said for them though, why not play Stidham if you see the star quarterback you guys supposedly have doesn't know the playbook? And that's why, and like you were saying about Michael Fitzpatrick and Tua, I can see it happening that way because you got a guy that kind of knows the playbook and he's been in the league so long. And Tua, but I mean, Josh Allen came in and he came in wet and they just threw him in the fire. And he was just like, you gonna play. And he's developed. He's shown he's gotten hit a lot, and he's shown you, and he's a bigger guy. I think that's kind of why I like him. I mean, like Matt coming in, like Matt isn't that big, but Matt is like 6'7". Like if you see Matt in person, he's like, and I'm 6'1". I look at Matt and be like, yo, that man is tall. Like he's ginormous. Like so.
He's a prototypical 90s and 2000s quarterback.
Yeah, like he's like Flacco and all of those guys. When those guys came in, those were the guys like 6'6", long, big arms, can throw down the field, can throw zippers, and like so now it's kind of sort of like they've gotten smaller, but they've gotten more mobile. But Josh Allen just prototypical and can run. Because if Josh Allen gets a full, like I feel like he's so built, like he's not really, and he's gonna get. I feel like he still has some maybe he might get a little bit stronger, but his arm is so good. And I think Zach Wilson, this is for all you guys quarterback. I watched Tua be hurt multiple times, hurt his ankle in one game, and then hurt his hip, broke his hip, and then he came back, And so I feel like some of these guys just had to get bigger. Like Zach Wilson definitely is going to get bigger. I don't think Zach Wilson survives in this league getting hit. Hopefully your old line is good enough where he doesn't get hit that much, but he gets hit a lot. I don't see him lasting the whole season because he's not that big and he gets hit. And this isn't BYU. Let's put it like that. Like how they say this isn't Kansas. Like this isn't BYU. You're getting hit hard and they're coming at full speed. And so thank God Matt Ryan's never been hurt in his whole career. I think he's missed like one game because of injury his whole career. So like thank God for that. And I can see all you guys is like because everybody – that Houston trade, which was weird for me, Mike, and I'm like the whole when you traded Tunzel, I was like, isn't he like they're supposed to be their star O lineman? That was my whole thing. I was like, isn't he supposed to be like the best O lineman they had?
Well, they're offering you that many picks, you'll trade your mother. I mean, they offered so many picks, and like you can't say no because they called Miami, from the stories and all the reports, they kept calling them. They kept saying, no, Miami. No, we're not going to trade him. No, we're not. And Bill O'Brien, who is the acting general manager, wouldn't take no for an answer. He's going to win this war. It's like being in one of those things when you're on eBay and you want to win the bid and you don't care how high you go. It just becomes a thing where I'm going to win. And then you find out you pay like $300 for a piece of junk because you're just going to win that bid no matter what. And he just kept offering more picks and more picks and more picks to a point. It's like, Laramie Tunsil's good, don't get me wrong, but good God, you're going to give me 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. You're doing this. You're throwing in that. Nobody's going to say no to that. It's just too much. And it's almost like the same thing now with Xavier Howard. He wants a little bit more money. Miami doesn't want to pay him. There's teams picking up the phone to Miami, making offers. Miami's saying no because Of course, you're going to say no. See if you get a team as dumb as the Texans were, who might just offer you so much that it becomes worthwhile to trade him at that point, because Houston just wouldn't take no, and they kept throwing in more picks. And then when they're bad on top of it, one of their picks end up being number 3 overall this year. It's like, good God, you win 10 games and you're picking 3rd?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like, you got a great asset and someone's willing to sell the farm to to get it from you. I mean, yeah, they may want that asset really badly, but you just got the farm.
We got everything. I mean, it's like having 2 full drafts every year. We've had last year, well, in 2020, 3 first-round picks. This year, 2. 2020, 2 second-round picks. This year, 2 more. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 picks in rounds 1 and 2. The past 2 drafts. That's unheard of. It's like a haul. That's not even counting picks in round 3 they got and some later ones. But in just rounds 1 and 2, it's an unheard of haul. And aside from one of the players, they all look pretty good thus far. I mean, I don't know about the guys this year per se, although Waddle so far in camp looked amazing. Phillips is probably going to be fine at linebacker. I'm not too worried there. But aside from Noah Igbunagani, who they took with their 3rd pick in round 1 last year, who's been it's taking a little bit longer for him to adjust, they've all so far seemed pretty good, knock on wood. Even Liam Eichenberg, who they took this year in round 2, is probably going to start for him this year. And he's been so look, it's just a week in camp, who knows? But so far, all the things have been very positive around him. So with the exception of one of those picks, so let's say they hit on 8 out of 9. Oh, I mean, good Lord, that's great. I mean, nobody's going to bat 1,000 in the draft. Nobody ever does. So if they hit on more than half, it's good. And if he hits on 7 or 8 of those of the 9 picks, that's great.
Yeah.
For one guy?
Yeah. And so Cam Newton beat us in 27. Oh, and of course, Julio dropped the wide open pass. And that's why everybody – so the whole Julio thing, if you want to go back, you guys, of course, can go back and watch. We did a whole Julio show. Julio, over these last couple years, when everybody wanted, and mind you, when Julio was available, everybody was like, oh, Julio's available? We should go get Julio. What Falcons fans were saying is that Julio is not the same Julio as, what year was it? Like 2016. It's not that he's not that same guy. He's had multiple foot injuries, multiple foot surgeries. Mind you, Calvin really just had one, but he said he's 100% healthy. And he was younger, and Julio had his older. So you had Julio with multiple foot injuries. You had Julio with problems. I mean, he had problems after problem. He set out of camps for $2 million extra. Like, he turned into a diva, and so I don't know if you guys know, he didn't answer Arthur Blank called him when he left, and he didn't answer the phone. And everybody in Atlanta was like, yo, that's the guy that paid you extra money. I mean, millions, like, because Julio got a contract extension. Remember when he was the highest paid receiver in the league before Mike Thomas got his?
Oh, yeah.
Julio wasn't supposed to get that contract because Julio just signed a contract 2 years ago. After his 5th year option, we gave him a big contract. And then 2 years later, he was like, I want more money. So what we were saying is, like, you're getting a diva no matter where he goes. Now in Tennessee, those guys are going to worship him. I feel like he wasn't getting the worship he got in Atlanta where he was getting when he was younger. Because we had gotten like, oh, we got Calvin Ridley. Like, Calvin Ridley was slowly and sure that it was the same thing what we had with Roddy White and Julio. Roddy White slowly was matriculating out, and you had Julio coming in. He was the big star. And then Calvin Ridley came in. Yeah, and then Calvin Ridley came in. It was like, yo, Calvin had a 1,000-yard season last year, and he was playing more than Julio played last year. And Julio was out 9 games and this and that. And it was like, yo. And then you see Julio dropping balls and stuff. It was just like, and I don't even want to know, man.
I don't know. Statistically, though, per game last year, Julio was only like 5 yards a game behind Ridley, right? Like he was producing. He just got that end zone problem. He can't seem to get over. But maybe it's just the close coverage. Maybe he knows that he's lost a step and he just loses a little bit of confidence in it. But I mean, being the hot young guy coming up, Ridley's of course he's going to start taking those snaps at wide receiver 1. He's going to get the targets because he's up, right?
Yeah, and then Ridley's gotten faster, younger. The guy that we know is surely going to catch the ball even in tight coverage. Like, and thank God Kyle Pitts came to take that big body role. That basically, and I want, so we all have, so I'll go into receiver talk, man, because we all have receivers now are one receivers. You got Buffalo has Stephon,
Mhm.
Miami just got Waddle, and the Jets
Will
have
Fuller.
who'd you guys get? Oh my god.
Well, we got Corey Davis, but now we got Elijah Moore, man.
Yeah, Elijah Moore. Yeah. So I mean, Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. We have Kyle. If we go by twos, we have Kyle Pitts, and then we have Kyle Pitts is a tight end. But for you guys, we all talked about our quarterbacks, but you guys, Waddle played with Tua. Waddle has chemistry. We saw what Stephon did with in Buffalo the next year, and I really want to see what Corey Davis does, and I want to see what those two do in New York with Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson has a cannon. When he can sit there and throw it, he has a cannon. So, are you guys expecting at least 1,000-yard season? I don't know about Waddle, Mike. You can give me that, but I think
Will Fuller might have 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, Will Fuller.
He was the other big addition because they, as I just said, like about 5 or 10 minutes ago, they needed a lot of help at wide receiver, more than just one guy. So they got Will Fuller. They brought back guys like Wilson and Hearns are obviously now they're going to play this year because they're not going to opt out. So they got those guys back on top of Williams, Parker, and those guys that they already had. So I think the additions of Waddle, Fuller, Parker, Preston Williams, who's a guy who flies under the radar a little bit because he's often hurt, but when he plays well. Those four are going to really help this offense in a big way. On top of the tight end, they have Mike Gesicki. Those guys should really help this offense take a big step because last year, like I said, they had no wide receivers. And then once the few they had got hurt, they're playing, college quarterbacks at receiver, and they still found a way to win 10 games. So even if a few of these guys get hurt, which all of them do have an injury history, they're still going to be able to survive as long as they all don't get hurt at once. They will still be able to survive because they have a little bit of depth now at this spot, which it went from a total weakness now to a total strength in the passing game.
Oh yeah, I was absolutely going to say that depth at wide receiver is just it gets more and more important every year in the NFL
passing league
today. Yeah, it is. It's a passing league. Yeah, and you having that extra depth at wide receiver is great because you're acknowledging that you've got those injury concerns, but you still have the next man up who can produce. That's something I like about this Buffalo team right now is that we just got even deeper at wide receiver this year. Last year we had John Brown, Beasley and Diggs and Gabe Davis as a rookie working together. Gabe Davis has been developing nicely in camp, and we replaced John Brown, who was injured, with apparently quite a healthy Emmanuel Sanders. And that's you can't deny that that's an upgrade. We've got some.
How about Cole Beasley?
Hey,
what's going on there?
I gotta say that if whenever he's not on Twitter, I love Cole Beasley.
Or rapping.
I'm not even one to judge that because I don't care. Everyone can do what they want to do.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to say it's good.
If he's going to be there or not. Because everyone's got to do what they got to do. Nobody's going to change anybody's mind when it comes to vaccine or politics. Everyone has their thoughts. God bless them. But will he actually be a part of this team, though?
Oh yeah, he'll be that. Nope. He's released a statement saying that once season time comes, he's gonna put up and shut up. He's already stopped talking about it everywhere. And it seems that NFL policies are going in favor of treating everybody similarly anyway. And that was his main thing was about the difference in treatment between vaccinated and unvaccinated players. I think that the whole, anti-vaccine thing is kind of stupid, but
me too.
I think that when it comes down to it, as long as everyone's getting tested and everything's being done as safely as possible, I think that will be less of a personal issue than it had been this offseason. It was a big conversation when there's no football on, but when he's out there catching 100 yards and a touchdown, with little toe drag swag, throwing his body into the end zone.
Shout out Nate Burleson.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. He's gonna be this exact same guy who he was on the field last year and the year before. Last year was a career year for him. He's got great chemistry with Josh Allen. He's massively successful, and when if it comes down to it, we still have depth in this offense outside of him. We're at a point where some of the biggest discussions going on in the Bills media right now is less. It's not like it was 2-3 years ago we were drafting starters and hoping that they succeed. It's now, hey, are we going to have, who's going to be wide receiver 7? Is it Jake Kumaro? Is he going to make the roster? And apparently it's a yes, by the way. Like the conversation's changed. It's no longer, we're no longer worried about starters. It's all about depth and rotational value, and developing the young guys, and it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I will say culture-wise, I think every team has changed a lot culture-wise. Because me and us and the Jets, we both fired our coaches. It's basically Dan Quinn was at the end of the road. I think everybody knew Dan Quinn was at the end of the road. You bring in a guy, Arthur Smith, with numbers of an offensive coordinator. I mean, look at what people. You look at what people were saying. It's so weird. Last year, everybody was talking about how good Tennessee was and their offense was elite, and then he gets to Atlanta, and it's just like, oh, we don't know how the Falcons are. And then same thing with Salah when he got to the Jets with his defense. Everybody's like, we don't know how the defense is going to be. And it's just like he just had one of the best defenses in San Francisco. Why, when he takes the head coaching job, is anything different? So to you, going in as having a new coaching, like you were saying, the culture in New York is different. I would definitely say the culture in Atlanta is different. How does it feel now to feel like you might have a chance this year? Like it feels like something that's coming together.
Yeah, so we're actually on a different trajectory than the Bills, right? Because Elijah Moore is going to be our starter. And we're still looking for starters everywhere.
Yeah.
We have all the depth in the world. We got all the wide receiver 3s and 4s, all the cornerback 3s and 4s that anyone's heart desires, right? So what's really interesting is Elijah Moore was statistically the best wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, in college football last year. That's just a fact. And his skill set works perfectly with Michael LaFleur's offense, which comes from the Shanahan tree. All that sounds good on paper. But what's really been, just an amazing surprise is his reviews from Jets camp. So we thought he was going to be slated in for the slot. And then, if you remember, it was, what are we going to do with Jamison Crowder's 1 year, $11 million deal, right?
Yeah.
Because we already have the slot. Why are we going to pay an older slot for, it doesn't make any sense. Apparently, the Jets knew what was coming because Elijah Moore is going to be our X. He's going to be him and Corey Davis are going to be our X and Y. He's doing everything out there, and Jameson Crowder is going to hang out in the slot. So, from all reports, Elijah Moore is. So one of his biggest strengths was his yards after catch, of course, and number 2 was his character. The funniest thing that the coaches have been talking about right now for Elijah Moore is both of those things. I guess they're like, okay, he kind of stands up to the bill of, this really fast receiver that can catch and kind of do it all. However, he definitely has a bigger route tree than was advertised. And then they really honed in on the character. They were saying that his character was severely underrated, which, coming from a Jets fan to say that we have a rookie wide receiver coming in with a good attitude, with good character, and he's actually contagious, in a good sense, that is weird for me, right? We cannot draft an offensive playmaker. We could definitely not draft a wide receiver, and we could sure as hell not draft a first-round pick. So, everything is like a second-round pick. Sorry. If you look at our second-round pick history, it's absolutely atrocious. We haven't had a second-round pick since David Harris that's panned out. So, I'm a little worried about Denzel Mims. I was going to say,
Mims.
Dude, I'm a little worried about him, right? So, just to touch on Mims, he didn't have a training camp last year. Comes into training camp this year playing with the 2s and 3s, which they explained is because he didn't have a training camp. Right now, he's kind of high pointing the ball, which is nice. I just wonder if there's even a spot for him on this team. I wonder if the Jets have seen enough where his ceiling is not as high as it was, before he was drafted.
Sure.
Yeah, and his potential is still of high value, especially for the NFL. He's going to be the only guy I'm not shocked is traded on the Jets this year. He's going to be the only guy because I just don't see if Elijah Moore is truly going to be the second outside guy, then really we just signed Corey Davis to a lucrative deal. Elijah Moore's our rookie. There's honestly no room for him. You know what I mean? We're going to put Denzel Mims in a 4 set. It just doesn't make sense. I'd rather just take Keelan Cole or take Vincent Smith or Lawrence Cager or any of these guys and just stick them in there rather than and try to recoup some assets back from Denzel Mims, which I personally I like. I like him. It's just everything is worrisome about him, man. From the playbook stuff to staying on the field. I'm just worried. Like from an outside perspective, right? I have no inside information. I am genuinely worried about Denzel Mims' future with the Jets.
So if you don't want to keep him on a rookie contract in the full set, what do you think you're going to get from him in return?
Like if we can get like a fourth or something, because I mean the fourth is where the comp pick starts, so I always at least start at 4, 4 to 7. That's where it's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised with even like a 5th or 6th round pick. And I know that sounds, ridiculous, right? Oh, why would you trade a 2nd round pick from last year? You have no wide receivers. Just keep them. Who cares about this, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round pick? I get that mentality, but there's something about actually squeezing out all the value from your players, whether that's on the field, whether that's if they're not going to play to just get them out there like Bill Belichick-esque. You know what I mean? And I finally feel that we, again, have a competent head coaching staff who, even though Salah, like you said, is a defensive guy, he was pictured with the offensive lineman the other day, which is hilarious because Adam Gase wouldn't be caught dead looking at the defense. But other than that, we also have Joe Douglas, man. We also have Joe Douglas who clearly knows what he's doing, and he loves his draft assets. So I don't know. Again, I'm optimistic about Mims. I hope he's okay. But if you're asking me about our wide receiver stuff, he feels like the odd man out with the most value that we could at least like get something back from him.
Yeah. For us, I know our wide receiver core is definitely going to be Ridley, Gage, and my thing for Russell Gage, we had an LSU guy come on. He's like, man, I don't know if he can really be a 2 or he can be a 3. And my thing was for him, like, we've seen Gage be the 2. And we've seen Gage have big games because if you remember Julio, like I said, Julio's been out. 2? He was out mostly 9 games last season or something like that. So Gage was our 2. So they had an interview with him. They did his press conference and they asked him, like, how do you feel? He's like, man, I feel like I got an opportunity. I got to shine. And that's kind of what you want to see. And then you have Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst, who we don't know where they're going to play in the Arthur Smith offense because he loves his tight ends. And he loves his O-line. I mean, and it was so weird. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard, like, we got all veterans running laps. Like, our whole offense jumped off sides, and our whole offense ran a lap around the field. Like, Dan Quinn would have been like, oh, man, I don't know if you guys saw a tweet we talking about, man, yeah, when you jump forward, it's just it's camp. Like, Dan Quinn was too nice. It was like, man, yeah, like an Adam Gase type thing. Like, yeah, they just jumped off sides today. It wasn't nothing that serious. We just wanted to move forward with it and stuff like that. Like, guys got a little too excited. It's been something like to that extent. But it's like an accountability thing for us. And with the offense that we have, and hopefully we can learn Arthur Smith. And I don't expect us. And this, I guess I'll end it like this. I'll end the stream like this. Our expectations and like not actually the numbers of a season. So we play the Jets first in London, 9:00 game. I don't know how I'm gonna get up that early. Gonna have to go to bed early.
It's still in my plans. It's penciled in. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make it, but it's penciled in right now for the London game. I kind of want to go.
I kind of want to go. If they open up travel, I definitely want to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, man. I just did a Europe trip.
Yeah,
my first NFL game was in Wembley, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was before. I live in Toronto now, but I was born and raised in London, and my first ever NFL game was Bucks and Pats, and it's like it's a whole show. It's not just it's not just one. It's not like going to an NFL game where you got your home fans and your away fans. It's an event for everybody. You show up and it's every fan from every team across the entirety of Britain coming down in one place to celebrate the game. And it's the kind of game that you have to go to. It doesn't matter if you're even rooting for either team, because it's the kind of game that you need to go to at least once, because it's kind of like the Super Bowl overseas. Everybody from every team is there because they know that this is the event to be at. is the only time you get to truly celebrate the game in all of its glory over there. So I cannot
You're
recommend it
selling
highly enough.
Yeah, you're selling it.
Yeah,
I will
man.
say-
Yeah, plus we're not used to cheerleaders over there. It's not a normal thing for us. So people go wild.
If
So
your
what we
owner does not want to pay for a whole new stadium, the fine people of London probably will, and they'll move the Bills over there. Because I know your owner is saying he wants it financed by the whole city, which ain't going to happen.
Okay,
it ain't happening.
I just wrote a bunch of articles about this.
I know.
So
Off,
the whole thing. You know Ralph Wilson back in the 70s threatened to move the Bills as well. He wanted to move us to Miami. He wanted to move us have two Miami teams.
Yeah.
It's just an accelerant to try and make the state of New York pay more money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's business people doing what business people do.
Y'all go overseas. I want a team in Canada. I don't know why, but I want a team in Canada. I want a team in Canada. I want us to be, because I feel like football is so international now, even though it might not be as like soccer or baseball, but it's an international sport at this point. Like, of course, we still have rugby and all of that, but you gotta expand. I mean, I don't know if you guys, I used to have these cards, and mind you, I never got to see them play, but the international NFL, I can't think of the exact name of it.
The World
League. World League.
Yeah, World League. I have like a whole bunch of World League cards somewhere, and it's just like all these guys. I'm just like, why did we get rid of that? I was just like, man, that would be so cool to bring it back. And I think Britain would probably be the first.
Yeah, it was on World League and then NFL Europe.
Yeah, NFL Europe. Yeah, I feel like, but I really feel like Britain would be like the first team that would be announced if it was something like that.
Oh, it will happen in our lifetime.
I mean, I don't
know, but if it's going to be anyone, it's probably going to be the Jaguars.
Yeah, it'll be Jaguars. The owner got ties over there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're bad.
So, what would be? So, what are your what are your projections, Jamil? What are we going with? What are we going with? Week 5? I think we play at week 6.
Week 4? Is it week 4?
Might be 4 actually. Yeah, 1, 2. Yeah, week 4. So week 4. Us in London, what do you think is gonna happen?
I mean, we gotta watch at least one preseason game before we start making predictions. But I think we're gonna have to have.
Early.
I think we're gonna have to have a little wager, because I know I'm gonna take the Jets. I know you're gonna take the Falcons. So I think that we're gonna have to, talk it out a little bit as the season goes on. So let's just see.
I will get a Jet search or something with a Jets. I'll wear it on a Wednesday, because we're having Wednesday shows. I'll wear it on the Wednesday show as the preview, as the after game review and all of that. I will wear Jet stuff if you guys win. We'll do it like that. And I'll Falcons.
And I'll go to the clearance section and I'll pick I'll get a Falcons.
Find a Ward Dunn jersey from like 1990.
Hey, so Mike, we play you guys week. Well, we have a joint practice coming up next week.
Yeah,
next 2 weeks from now we have a joint practice.
Yeah, the second preseason game. Game
our second
against Atlanta.
We don't know what the dressing things will be or how they're going to dress, and if they're going to go like me and King, the other co-host on one of the shows. We talked about maybe we just to keep game 3 as the dress rehearsal, because you do have the week off. Afterwards, it's not like you're going like week 4 and then right into the season. You do have that week off, so maybe you do it like that. But we do have our joint practice, and then we do play y'all week. What is it? Week 5, week 8.
Last week of October.
It's right after you play the Jets, I think.
Yeah, it's like it's like a game in between. So when we get the bye week, and then I think we do play you guys. So what is it? So what are you way too early? Let's say way too early.
Here's what I'll say: if we have Xavier Howard on the team still, and if just assuming everyone's healthy for Atlanta, everyone's healthy for Miami, under that assumption, let's just go. I think Miami wins a close one. I think it's going to be tough, because I do think Atlanta's got a big-time offense. I think they're going to score points with pretty much anybody in this league. The other side of the ball, though, I know there's a lot of question marks in the secondary and stuff like that. So I think Miami, with their new group of wide receivers, with the assumption, again, everyone's healthy and stuff, should be able to put up points. And if they have Xavier Howard on the roster still, I think they'll be able to hold Atlanta, in check for the most part. And I think they'll win a close game as of now, which I know is like 12 weeks out, but that's my way too early guess.
And of course Buffalo, we play you guys late in Buffalo in the cold. January
you got no
2nd.
chance. You got no chance winning there late. No chance. It's going to be freezing cold. The only way you can win is if they sit everyone for the whole game. They even set up for
and for my thing, when I saw the schedule when it came out, it's so funny. I don't know if you guys saw. We had like Bleacher Report do the gridiron, and they had I think it was Josh Allen and Steph Water. So I can't remember the exact thing, but it was so funny. But yeah, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be super cold. Hopefully, Matt can go back to Boston College, Matt. But none of these other guys on our team, like wide receiver wise, Frank Darby's from Arizona State. Gage is from LSU.
Pitt's never saw
Ridley's from Alabama.
Man.
You have Trey Wayne who was from LSU, and he came up there but you can't get that type of weather down here in Georgia to try to simulate. Like it's never going to get that cold unless you go into like our inside facility and blast the AC to make it that, but it still won't be the same. It probably will snow too, knowing Buffalo.
Yeah. So for my prediction, I went to one hell of a game a few years ago. It was 2016, 2017, where we hosted the Colts. And it was one of the snowiest games in NFL history. I was in the end zone for that game, and for most of the game, you could not see past the 50-yard line.
It was like 5 yards of offense for one of the teams.
Every 2 plays, they had snow blowers running up the sidelines just to clear just the lines on the pitch, and then every 2 downs, they'd have to do it again. If you can expect weather like that, you don't stand a chance. And if you can expect clear weather and sunny skies, this offense will pick your defense apart methodically, and it'll be ugly. You guys have one hell of a passing offense, and I think Pitts is going to be a huge problem, especially for us. I mean, good quality coverage linebackers are hard to find in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be a matchup nightmare forever and for everyone. If we can put Matt Milano on him, I think that Matt Milano could do a good job, but Matt Milano is far from a sure thing in this case. Yeah. But outside of him, I don't see that offense getting off the ground against us. And if the weather's bad, we will just, blitz
I think weather is going to be a
big
part for us on that game. Like, and for us to, like I said, we're not going to get that unless we just decide to have a snowy December, which we never had. It snowed Christmas this year and it didn't even snick. So like we got like part of a white Christmas and it was like, nah, it's not going to stick. Like it never gets cold enough ground wise, unless you go back to like 20, what year was it? Like 20, the year we had, everybody made fun of us because we couldn't clear the
2 inches of ice. Yeah,
it was like 2 inches of ice and everybody was stuck on the expressway. So that's what I'm saying. Like for us, like we're not using that type of weather. And I know Mike definitely isn't I'm glad we get to go to Miami in October. It's usually cooler. Like it's usually beautiful weather at that time. I got to go to that game. And then I want to see Hard Rock. I definitely like that stadium.
It's a gorgeous stadium. They
looks
put so much money into it. And it is an older stadium, but they put so much money into it. It's like a new stadium now.
Yeah, and Georgia could have done that. I mean, we could have done that with the Georgia Dome. If you guys know the story behind that, like that stadium only was built in '94, and we tore it down in 14. Like,
which is always crazy to me.
Yeah, like $2.4 billion to build a stadium 5 feet away from the other one, and it didn't. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz is gorgeous. I mean, we've had at least one banner put up, and that was the soccer banner. Thank God of that, because we had an empty stadium and it just wouldn't feel good. It wouldn't feel right. We still got our old banners and stuff. Like, it's the same thing we did with the Hawks. And, like, MSG has upgraded their basketball. Y'all upgraded MSG. And we did the same thing with State Farm. And you got to figure out ways to spend money, which make no. And for us to build that stadium, I mean, Arthur Blank must have just had a lot of Home Depot money.
We got Home Depot money. That's all. I mean,
yeah,
Home Depot's giant. That's nothing.
Home Depot money just to spend. And I was just like, so now we got a whole Home Depot where they blew up the stadium. They cleared it out. Now it's a Home Depot like tailgate area, and they have like food trucks and stuff. Home Depot runs literally. Home Depot runs Atlanta. My sister
Home
works.
Depot and Coca-Cola.
My sister worked for Coca-Cola. Then she went to Home Depot.
There you go.
So she went from one company to the next. So
Home Depot, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and Coke is such a big thing here. Like, if you have Pepsi, it's like, why do you have Pepsi in your store? Like, it's such a big thing now where it's a conglomerate in Atlanta. Like, you go into a restaurant in Atlanta, it's either sweet tea or Coke. Like, those are their main two choices. I love it's a southern thing down here, man. So definitely Miami. is a go-to. Buffalo, I don't know about Buffalo, man. Toronto, maybe. I'll go to Toronto and when I want to go. I haven't been yet. I want to go to a Raptors game.
It's a fun time in Buffalo, actually. It is a fun
time.
Yeah,
no, Buffalo, you'll never have a better fan experience than in a Bills tailgate. Doesn't matter who you are. As long as you're not an Eagles fan, being an Eagles fan, you're probably fine. But the Bills tailgate, indescribable. It is a great time.
I was at you guys brought up so many bad memories. I've been trying to keep them to myself, but I was at that Ryan Fitzpatrick, Rex Ryan Super Bowl in Buffalo. Week 17. I was at that game. I'll never forget it. I did have a great time in the parking lot. I got nice and warm because it was freezing. But I'll never forget that game. Like the cornerback pointing at Eric Decker, even though. And we just intercepted twice in the end zone. Like I'll never forget that. So I could definitely attest to Buffalo being freezing at the end of the year, and I could attest to it still being a good time, even though they hate your guts.
Oh yeah, they'll make sure you have fun anyway. You know, they're kind of they'll make jokes, and everyone will point and laugh at you if your team's bad. But like you'll laugh it off, you'll crack a beer with them, you'll eat a hot dog off of somebody's tire fire, it'll be
park on somebody's lawn.
That's honestly. No, pulling up on someone's lawn, giving the owner $10, asking if you can use their bathroom, and then heading to the stadium. Unbeatable experience. That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because I think certain areas, like New York, I know has a great. I think they have. I've heard y'all have a great tailgate experience there.
Yeah, New York, it's like a big parking lot. Yeah, it's just like so we're there from like 9 a.m. Nobody bothers you. Like nobody talks to you.
I've heard and that's like I said, we have the Home Depot tailgate, and that so. Back when it was a Georgia Dome, and if you've been to Atlanta, all our stadiums are right there. Like State Farm and like all our stadiums are right beside each other. And then down the road, you got like all our other little small stadiums, but our main two, and then Georgia Tech's down the road as well. Georgia Tech football, basketball is right down the road too. So, but our parking lot was right in front of it. So now you have to go up these steps and go around to get in the Mercedes-Benz because they had to blow up the Georgia Dome to get to it. So, but now that's what we have. They have food trucks and stuff come out now, and they got cornhole. It's kind of sort of turned into an experience. But definitely I gotta hit up New York. I wish we would have played in New York. That would have been cool because I could have went to the Jets. And
I wanted to go to Atlanta, so I feel you.
Yeah, I mean,
Atlanta is good on game day,
and then Miami, definitely. Miami's always been pretty. Like I said, my cousin's in the military down there.
There's so much to see. There's so much to
do.
You guys spent more than a couple of days. You guys, I mean, it's gonna be
Versace. I went to Versace's house and I was like, "This is just crazy." Walking by it and seeing that is bro. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. I'm gonna let you guys shout out to you guys' podcasts and stuff. I'll let you go first, Jamil.
All right, so you can catch us at the Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. My name is John. My co-host Alex. He is also on Knicks Fan TV. You can catch our writing there. You can catch our writing at the Jet Press, which is a fan-sided website. Other than that, man, just check in with us. We'll be pulling out content all year, Knicks, Jets, and some Yankee stuff here and there. And we just try to get good guests on and keep our optimism low. They like to keep us grounded as Knicks and Jets fans, so it's always a good time, man.
Knicks have had a good week, actually.
He said Yankees and I had to throw up.
Easy on the Yankees. I am a Yankees fan. And they won tonight, too.
I know. Shout out Joey Gallo.
Shout out Joey Gallo.
He should have been a Brave.
You can check out all the news on the Miami Dolphins at our website, dolphinstalk.com. We got podcasts pretty much from now to the end of the year, every day of the week. Not by me. We have a team of people who does it. I go nuts if I do it every day. So we have podcasts on the Dolphins pretty much each and every day. We got all the written articles, everything you need, and also follow us on Twitter at Dolphins Talk.
All right. You can find me and all my boys over at Buffalo Fanatics, Twitter, Instagram, the website, wherever you need. I do weekly articles mostly about Buffalo Bills history, but you can also find me and a bunch of my other guys over at the Sports Wave. We do all sports, all teams, all everything, all the time. And catch me any way you like, but that's where I'll be.
Hey, definitely follow these guys. If you're here, follow these guys. These guys are all knowledgeable. Stay here I said 45 minutes is an hour and 25 minutes. Definitely thank you guys for coming on. Of course, come holler at your hometown podcast at FILA Sports on YouTube. If you're on any other platform, please go subscribe. We're 20 some. Well, I think we're real close, basically getting real close to being at 3,000. So please subscribe. Have these guys on. Hopefully, when it comes to game time. Definitely got to have him on when we play the Knicks. I wanted to be a season opener so bad. I wanted to be the season opener.
I'm hoping it's a Christmas game. I'm hoping it's a Christmas game
too. That Heat team, Mike. You guys just went out and spent a gazillion dollars on old guys, but we'll see how I think that's gonna be Bam's team.
Nobody's beating the Nets. If the Nets want to win, they win. So everyone can buy all these players. None of it matters at the end of the day.
I don't think. Yeah, but do the Nets want to win? I don't know. I'm not convinced. They didn't look like they wanted to win against the Bucks.
They're always fighting with each other. Nobody ever wants to play. If they just put their mind on the sport of basketball, nobody's going to beat them.
I mean that, and then shout out KD in the Olympics because I watched that game last night live and he went off.
Shout out Book.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shout out Book. Book went under. Bro, Book didn't miss a shot. I was like, yo, bro. And shout out Team France for beating Luka, even though there's no beat, but just making them lose a game.
Fournier, baby, let's go.
Yeah, shout out Evan Fournier. And we just lost to them, so I don't know what USA is gonna do. I don't know how we adjust.
We're gonna win, too, don't worry.
We have to win. We have to win. We lose, it's gonna be a riot on Twitter, which is gonna be so funny because when we lost to Nigeria, it was like, yo, and then. So, so definitely Knicks guys. I'm gonna have the Knicks. You're gonna see him. You're gonna see you're gonna see him a lot this year, probably. You're gonna see probably a lot of these guys this year. Especially because I think the Bills have a couple primetime games.
Oh, we do. It's about time too.
Yeah, y'all you deserve them.
Averaging a half a primetime.
Miami has a primetime game. We probably have you back on, Mike, or somebody from.
Yeah, we got a Thursday night game against the Ravens and a Monday night game against the Saints.
Oh yeah, definitely for that Saints game. Got to have you on here with TJ Jones from the Magnolia podcast.
I think it's right after Christmas, if I remember.
We're right after New Year's with Buffalo. I mean, literally like the next day. We're the second. So yeah, it's like they didn't give us no break. No break.
Yeah, I'll be hungover, but invite me back.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's Christmas. I think everybody wants the Knicks.
Shout out Ultra Shadow, baby. Well,
yeah, Ultra Shadow, man. Ultra Shadows are here every show. If you follow the channel, Ultra Shadows here for every show. Big supporter. But hey, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys again. And I'm out of here. Peace.
Later, guys.